Now, I don't want to sugarcoat anything here. These wildfires are devastating. The Telegraph and Mescal Fires together have already burned over 150,000 acres, an area the same size as Chicago, with little sign of slowing down. Numerous communities have evacuated, homes have been destroyed, people and pets have been forced to leave belongings behind. It's a tragedy, and my heart goes out to all those who have been displaced or lost a home or lost a loved one in these wildfires. I want to let the great people of Gila County know that we will spare no expense and take all actions necessary to stop the spread of these fires, protect this community, and protect every Arizona citizen. Just yesterday, I issued 2 declarations of emergency, which will make additional resources available for our numerous response efforts. On the front lines, we have over 600 firefighters fighting the Mescal Fire and over 900 firefighters fighting the Telegraph fire. They're working around the clock, and because of their valiant efforts, we've been able to make big strides in containing the fires. I want to first thank all of our first responders for their support, their bravery, as they continue to protect our communities and keep Arizonans safe. The Department of Emergency Management has been working closely with the Red Cross to set up shelter for people and for pets. You can hear some of the pets in the background. Those dogs are being well fed and the cats are going to be in the tent next to them. It is really heartbreaking to see Arizonans displaced from their homes and having to spend time in shelters along with their pets. But I'm grateful to the good work of the Red Cross. They're the best in the world in providing shelter to these women and men. There are countless other actions made possible by the many public servants in our state agencies, and I want to thank them all and all of our teams, especially at DFFM and DEMA, for their hard work and support. Now, joining us today are some leaders from around the state. We have Speaker Rusty Bowers and Representative David Cook. Their communities have been ravaged by the wildfires, and I was devastated to see that Speaker Rusty Bowers' property was destroyed. It's imperative that we continue to put our efforts towards these fires so we can contain them and prevent any more hurt, loss, or suffering in our communities here in Gila County. I also want to recognize other local leaders and Arizonans who are helping everyone weather this storm. We have Adjutant General Kerry Muhlenbeck, Senator T.J. Shope from District 8, Mayor El Gameros from Globe, Mayor Sammy Gonzalez from Miami, Director Don Tenney from the Department of Forestry and Fire Management, John Truitt from DFFM, Telegraph Fire Incident Commander David Bales, Mescal Incident Fire Commander Mark Burnell, and representatives from the Red Cross, the Bureau of Land Management, Tano National Forest, and our tribal nations. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for your hard work, for your partnership, for your leadership as we battle these fires. Now, it's clear that we've got a lot more work to do, and the response will not end even when these fires are put out. When this year's monsoon rains come, these burned areas are prone to landslides, mudslides, and flooding, which pose another threat to this community. We must do more to combat these fires and prevent the fallout from any subsequent challenges. That's why today I'm announcing that I'm calling a special session to make sure we have the resources and manpower needed to contain the wildfires, prepare for possible flooding, and any other natural disasters that arise from this emergency. I'm hopeful that together, the legislature and I can secure the funding and support that's needed to keep Arizonans, their property, their pets, and their livestock safe. I want to thank Speaker Rusty Bowers, who had the idea of calling this special session. For the past 6 years, Rusty Bowers has been one of the strongest advocates for rural Arizona at our state capitol. He's been a real leader on natural resources and water, and he's worked tirelessly to give our communities the resources they need to prepare for a natural disaster. There's no better person to lead this special session in a bipartisan manner. I'm hopeful that together we'll be able to secure the funding necessary to protect this community and all other Arizona communities during the wildfire season. It's critical that we address the challenges we have today and continue to invest in the tools, the technology, and the fire professionals needed to prevent wildfires moving forward. Now I'm going to hand it over to Speaker Bowers to share a few words. Rusty?
This might be louder but no better on these microphones, but I'm Rusty Bowers, and years ago my grandmother was a milkmaid in Globe when she met my grandfather. We've always loved this area, had a long-time family presence. The governor mentioned our loss, but my wife and I, when we look at the friends and the folks that have tried to help us but are helping you, this is the character of Globe, Miami, right here and beyond over those hills. And we're grateful. We're grateful for good neighbors. We're grateful for hard-working folks who know what it's like to get out in the desert and get too hot in the summer. But we are very, very concerned about what happens next. The governor mentioned the flooding. You've been through some before. With what's happened up on the mountain, it's going to be a bad, bad summer if we get a heavy monsoon, which we need. And so we're here to help. We want to make sure the resources and work with your emergency management folks to get prepared, to get stationed, to get pre-positioned so that we can really help you in this flooding season that's going to come up. So thank you very, very much. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want you to know that my heart and Angela's heart and the people of Arizona go out to you and your family for your loss here. It's really hard to describe the devastation that has happened with these fires so far. We're able to see that on the tour, and someone who has been right in the middle of this has been Representative David Cook. I want Mr. Cook to talk about how this fire has impacted his community, and I want to thank him for his leadership in Gila County and on a statewide level. David?
Thank you, Governor. And I don't want to take too much time, but I want to say to the firefighters, I see it every day from my front porch in the morning and at night. But I want to point out some of the things you've heard today is that it's not just Globe, Miami. We are the best, I believe, here in this community, but this is how rural Arizona acts. When there's an emergency and a tragedy, we band together. And what I want to say is that I want to thank the Governor and the Speaker of the House and my seatmate, Senator Shope, for being here, because this is the promise to you, that government does work. When you have good people in office, then we can make good changes and we can do great things for the people of all of Arizona. And you've just heard the promise from my governor, Doug Ducey, who I support 100%. And you've heard the promises from Speaker Bowers that I love to work with and solve problems with down at the state capitol. But the bottom line is we work for you. We work for the people. And our job is to solve tough problems no matter how hard it is. And that's what I pledge to you. Right behind you, for anybody that doesn't know, is our ranch. We ranch from the top of the Pinal Mountains to the city of the Globe limits. So what you see in smoke, it directly affects me and my family, and my heart goes out to Speaker Bowers for his loss. He is a true God-given talent, and I just hope that none of that talent was lost in those structures, because he is a true, genuine, fine artist in the state of Arizona. Governor, you don't know what it means. I've been trying to get the governor to Globe for a couple years, and we've been trying to schedule it for education. I'm sorry it's on this tragedy, but I'll tell you what, when the call came, he answered, and I appreciate that, Governor, for all you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. David Cook, thanks for the work you do in this community. There's work yet to be done, but I want to thank you for your leadership. And I also want to thank Senator T.J. Shope. I know T.J. Shope, David Cook, and Rusty Bowers, and we talk often, but we have certainly talked a lot more often in these last 10 days because we know that action is necessary right now in Gila County, and I want the folks here to know that you are represented very well, and that representation on the Senate side is with TJ Shope. TJ?
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, and thank you all for being here. It's actually, we all wish that we were talking about something different today, but the fact that we have, I think, assembled media from all across the state, Phoenix and Tucson especially, this is going to project what we already know in rural Arizona. When I can see the flames from my home 47 miles away from Superior, that tells you how dry it is, and that tells you how intense this fire was burning. I've seen people carrying around water today, and we know we're all drinking more water. Well, guess who's not getting any water right now? Is the plant life that exists. That's why these fires are moving fast, and that's why they're burning more intense than ever. We had an unbelievable vantage point today from the helicopter to see, and the comparison, I think, was made that in some areas it looks like it may as well be the moon. That is how intense this fire was and is. And so to the firefighters who are fighting it, may God protect you, because we need you all, obviously, to put the fire out, but we need all of you to come out safely as well. And to the people who have lost so much already, Speaker Bowers included, people who were under threat, like my seatmate, Mr. Cook, we pray for you every day, and we hope that this will not be in vain. And I believe that it won't, because we have the commitment for the special session, the emergency declaration, and we're going to go to the Capitol next week, and we're going to fight like hell for rural Arizona. And we know what is upcoming. It's been mentioned, the types of mudslides we may see when it actually rains, and that was mentioned. We do need the rain, there's no doubt about it, but we know we have to be prepared as well in these communities. And whatever we can do to help with that, we're going to go ahead and get to work on it in doing so. It's been heartwarming to see the communities of Superior, Miami, and Globe come together as they have, and I can't wait to see the rest of the state come together for these communities as well. So with that, I'll turn it on over.
Thank you. I want to say thank you, Senator TJ. I'm grateful for your longstanding leadership and partnership. Now I want to introduce the incident commander, Mark Burnell. He's the leader that's been running point on the operation to combat the Mescal Fire. I want to thank him for his dedication, and Commander, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Governor. Mark Bernal, Incident Commander of the Mescal Fire, Incident Commander of Southwest Area Team 5. This rapid moving fire, we were called to come and assist. It started in very steep terrain with 40-mile-per-hour winds behind it. That's a very difficult challenge with the current conditions that we have. It got pushed into the lowlands, but also pushed towards the community of San Carlos. When it moves to those lower communities, it does move into those lowlands, but it does make it more favorable for fire personnel to fight the fire in flatter lands and also lighter fuels. With that, we had to order some evacuations. With those evacuations, you got the community of San Carlos, which has 2,300 residents, the community of Beverly Hills, which has about 1,000 residents, and El Capitan area, which has about 50 residents. Not to mention also Highway 70 and Highway 77. At this time, the community of San Carlos is on a ready, and the communities of Beverly Hills and El Capitan are on a set, and that is for the Mescal Fire. So I just want to say a quick thank you to all the cooperation and coordination that we had. That has given us success. We are sitting at 64% containment at this point, and with the Mescal Fire, so things are looking good. I just want to send a shout out and help with that to our cooperating agencies, the San Carlos Indian Reservation, the Bureau of Land Management Gila District, the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management, and the Tana National Forest, and all cooperators involved with this incident, because it takes a lot of cooperation and coordination to do this, to provide the safety and protection of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander. Now I want to introduce Incident Commander David Bales. and he's going to give us the update on what's happening with the Telegraph fire. He's the leader in charge of Telegraph, so please come on up, David.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Bales. I'm an incident commander for the Telegraph Fire in Southwest Team 2. Looking at the Telegraph Fire, you know, this fire started on Friday, June 4th. And so I'd like to start there with the initial attack crews and the extended attack crews in Southwest Zone Team 3, or the Type 3 team that started this fire. They really did a good job in getting us set up. Southwest Team 2 assumed command of the fire Sunday, June 6th. And since then, it's been a firefight up Highway 60, as you can all see. And as you see from our maps and our briefings, these folks, that we have up to 923 people at this time on the fire. And these folks, the first 3 days, they're up Highway 60 from Superior to Miami, Claypool, and now into Globe. This fire has really pushed us hard in the last 3 days. So we appreciate your patience with the closure of Highway 60 and all the GO evacuations that we currently have. The Telegraph Fire is currently 85,335 acres and 40% contained. That 40% containment is down in that lower southwestern quadrant in that Sonoran desert ecosystem, that lighter fuels, as you all know. So those fuels go out pretty quick. This fire has moved up into the Pinals now and is in a much different fuel type for us. So it's a much different firefight for us now. So as we enter day 5 today for our team and the firefighters that have been out there, it's still a very difficult time for these folks to get around this fire as they move up in there. So Speaker Bauer, you know, my heart goes out to you for your loss, and you know, but there's still a lot of communities at risk out there. So we ask you to please give the firefighters the space they need to do their job, and give them the access they need. It's pretty difficult. We did have to light around Signal Peak, and the fire was set up to make a run up the Pinal Mountains. So Signal Peak communication towers, some of the recreational homes in there, to try and protect some of those values at risk. So as we move forward over the next couple days, the weather's a big concern of ours. We all know that wind kind of helped push it up Highway 60, and the next few days we're looking at high pressure, which is a pretty risky for our firefighters. It builds a fire. The fuels are dry, fire will build up, and could spot fire for us. So that's what our firefighters are concerned with, and we'll continue to make progress there. So please, thank you very much for your time, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander. Thank you for the good work you and your teams are doing. So I want to say to everybody assembled here behind me that, and everybody focused on this fire, that Arizona is grateful for your efforts, and we know there is more to do, but we are going to persevere. You can see the strength in this community by its people. These past 16 months have been brutal, and we have a road ahead of us, but I'm confident that if we continue to work together, we will overcome this challenge and the others that are unforeseen in front of us. It won't be easy, but we've done it before, and I think we'll do it again. And with that, we'll open it up for questions. CJ?
Let's begin with Nicole. Governor, I've just had a few people asking, you know, it took 5 days to issue an emergency declaration. Can you talk about what's going on behind the scenes, why it takes time? You know, it starts at the local level first. Can you just explain that time frame over the last month?
Sure. So it took a moment to declare a state of emergency when a state of emergency was called for. And when you do have these types of natural disasters, it begins at the local level. Of course, the county also steps in. On this one, like many of our larger wildfires, I'm going to be briefed on it every morning and every evening. It's when we need the additional resources and support that's necessary. It's the communication not only with the fighters and incident commanders, but the representatives, the senator and and Speaker Rusty Bowers that went into the declared state of emergency that not only unlocks additional state resources, it also is a hand up to the federal government on what's potential or possible.
And moving forward this summer, we already know it might be a bad fire season. Are you prepared for that? What is it going to take for these resources?
So I want to say, with what I've already seen with the Mescal Fire and the Telegraph Fire, and what I've been briefed on what's happening close to Nogales with the Shamrock Fire, it is a bad fire season already. And it's only the 10th of June. So we have weeks and weeks until the monsoon happens. We don't know the exact beginning of these fires, but the anticipation is that they were human caused. So these are avoidable. And that's why I want to continue to say, if you're out camping, put your fire out cold. Make sure there are no chains dragging. Do everything you can to prevent a fire. But no, we're in a position as a state where we have resources. We've made tough decisions, and we've got support for these folks, and they're going to see the support, not only in terms of people, but in terms of the process, the special session, and dollars on the ground. But it is incredibly expensive, not only in terms of what it costs in human life, which we've been able to save so far, these displaced people, pets, livestock, and property. But the state's in a position where we're going to take action on this. The special session is a tool that is left to the executive that we can put the budget aside for a few moments and focus on Gila County. Focus on this issue, on the support, not only for what the people here need right now, but in anticipation of what's possible over the rest of the fire season, and then what happens with hopefully a healthy monsoon season. So it's a way to just stop all the other noise that is necessary in any legislative session to get big things done and to focus on the fire and the people of Gila County.
How much money are you looking for? What kind of policy changes are you looking for?
Well, that's what the special session is going to be for. That's something that we're going to sit down in a bipartisan way with the leaders of the chambers and figure that out. This should be a win for Arizona. And like I said, there will be more work to be done after that, but we want to carve out the distraction and the necessary distraction of what else needs to be done to just focus on this top priority, which I know it's my top priority, and I think I can speak for Speaker Bowers, for President Fan, for Rebecca Rios, and for Reginald Boulding as well.
Governor, a quick semantics question. Are you calling the special session or are you calling for a special session?
I'm calling a special session.
Thank you. And moving on, kind of jumping off this question, is there something specific that you want to see passed during the special session to help out these?
Yeah, when we have the call for the special session, you'll see the specifics. Part of the reason that we're able to call this state of emergency, to call this special session, to move, tens of hundreds of thousands, if not tens of millions of dollars forward, is because the state is in such a positive cash position. We're sitting on what, depending on whose numbers you look to, about a $4 billion surplus in our state. So we have stretched our social safety net since the day I came into this office. We balanced our budget. We closed a $1 billion deficit, and we're in a healthy cash carry forward position. That's why we're able to take action and help these people.
Knowing more about what that impact could have been from that tax, would you?
We've simplified taxes every year I've been governor. I was elected on that commitment. And part of the reason our state is doing so well is because it's so attractive to build the business, to scale the business, and for employment. I mean, we've got more jobs available in our state than we have people to fill them. We have about one job for every 3 people that remain on the unemployment rolls. I want to keep the state healthy and dynamic and attractive. That's the economic discussion, but right now we're talking about a natural disaster and an emergency situation, and our state is able to act with ample resources because we are in that position.
Let's go to Channel 10.
Along those lines, Governor, just for people who live here or maybe considering moving here, businesses relocating here, they see wildfires, drought possibilities, heat. What are your words to them as they consider that?
Well, Arizona is a very welcoming and inviting place. This is not our first wildfire. This is our first priority right now. We're going to get this wildfire put out. We're going to do everything necessary to prepare. We have faced this challenge every fire season. It hasn't been as dramatic as we've seen in other places in the West, and I'd give the credit to the responsible behavior of Arizonans and the professional we have in our wildland firefighting crews. But our state remains one of the fastest growing states in the nation. People love it here. Of course, the people behind me love it here. So I don't think because you see a natural disaster that's man-made that should discourage anyone on a decision they want to make for themselves or their family.
Let's go to KVOA Channel 4 from Tucson.
Governor, based on what you've heard and seen today of Telegraph fires moving east towards the Mescal fire, what's the, threat level that potentially combined?
So I'm going to let this is a question that I had. There was discussion that the Mescal fire and the Telegraph fire may burn together and become one. I asked that question today during the incident briefing, but I'm going to let the subject matter experts give you the answer on that because I think it's a very timely question.
Thank you, Governor. So again, Dave Bales with the Telegraph fire. So there's always a chance that could happen. We've had good success up high in the Pinal Mountains at this point in time, but again, it's the weather over the next 24 to 48 hours that's concerning to us and where this fire can continue to progress. Our guys made great progress in the last 24 hours, and they're going to continue to do that throughout the day. So, and we've had the support of everybody in the community, so we're looking for success here in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Technically, what is, this is no scale on the map, what is the distance between the west end of Mescal and the northeast end of Telegraph? Possibly.
Oh, I would have to have, I couldn't tell you offhand right now. I know the distance around the Telegraph fire is 183 miles on perimeter on that fire. So the distance between it, I don't know off on top of my head, sir. Sorry. 10 miles?
What about the wind today? Like, my hat flew off about an hour ago. What's it like over there? And is there still a threat to blow, or is the fire kind of pushing towards, I guess, a representative?
There's still a threat to glow for sure because of where the fire's at up on the Pinals. There's the chance that it can still come to the north. That's why we still have those communities in a go evacuation. So we still have risk there for sure. And as the wind's supposed to die down later, and we're supposed to get that high pressure for the wind to die off. So the wind's been about the same for us for about the last 3 days. But as it gets hotter and dry, we're in the peak burning period right now. So.
Sir, are those communications towers pretty much secured at this point?
Some of the communication towers have been impacted at this time on Magna Peak, and we did have to light some of the towers up on Signal Peak to protect them from any possible impingement for any fire coming up at them. So there's been some damage to some of the towers, and we're finding out that information at this time, which towers and what impacts.
Sir, you said 40% contained Mescal?
40% contained on Telegraph.
Telegraph?
Yes, sir.
Mescal?
Mescal was marked 63?
64%
64% on Mescal.
this afternoon.
Let's get to Univision.
Many people on social media are asking how they can help. I mean, are there any supplies that are needed? I mean, shelters, how can they help?
That's a great question. I appreciate that because the communities really do step up, and I got to send a thanks out to Pinal County, Gila County, the Sheriff's Department, emergency managers. We get all of our support. The teams come pretty much self-contained. We support our firefighters, and they come very well prepared. So we appreciate the offer, but we don't need it. If you can help out, it would be within the community itself, those that are evacuated, and how to support those. So.
Emergency Manager Carl Milford.
Yes, sir.
That's who Gila County.
So the emergency manager of Gila County is Carl Milford here in Gila County, and that would be a good contact.
Governor, could you describe what you saw today?
First, I want to say if people want to help beyond that, I would say the American Red Cross. Okay, what I saw in the shelter, and thank goodness there was only a handful of people that were in there, meaning that people haven't been as displaced as we anticipated. But they've got hot food in there, they've got healthy food, they've got a place where people can sleep and stay, and they're taking care of pets, and the people with the American Red Cross in this local community do a great job. And in terms of what I saw, it was devastating. It felt like you were looking out the helicopter at another planet that was not planet Earth, that was just desolate and without any water or precipitation and lifeless. And it goes on for miles and miles and miles. I think the analogy was it's the size of the city of Chicago. So I know that there's been some good reporting on this in the local paper. I've seen the pictures, and of course I've been briefed every day with great interest. But until you see it from that perspective, I don't think you can really realize the devastation of these fires. And even though it's not a ponderosa pine forest there, it's just heavy brush, it's still incredibly devastating, and it will take years and years, if not decades, for the landscape and environment to be replenished.
Governor, you mentioned how the state needs to do more when it comes to this. And when it comes to the special session, how narrow or broad is this going to be? Is it going to just focus on Gila County? Is it going to focus on how we can handle wildfires later this season? And also, can the budget be involved in any way when it comes to the special session?
Well, in terms of the budget's always involved, because of course it comes out of the larger budget. But as I said, the special session is a tool that allows us to focus on something. It doesn't always have to be something that would be likely bipartisan, but this I would expect would be bipartisan. And like I said, this is through discussion with Speaker Bowers. Our focus first and foremost is going to be on Gila County, but with it being June 10th, and we know that monsoon season traditionally doesn't start till mid-July, I think we'll want to be prepared for whatever's possible. So to me, that's going to be the scope in terms of how broad it will be. But I'm going to work with the legislative leaders to design that.
So to be clear, Gila County and potential fire season, but not necessarily on passing the budget that's had some issues so far.
It's going to be focused on Gila County.
Can I ask Speaker Bowers a question really quickly? You know, we have lost 5 structures. One of them just so happens to be your home. I'm so sorry about that. But, you know, where are you going from here? What's next for you personally?
Our focus is you. That's our focus. We can't build my house back next week. It's going to take a while. But we will rebuild, as will those who lost it. Our neighbors, the Iolis, lost a very historic property. They're a longtime Globe family. We just forge ahead, but the first thing we need to do is get this area prepared, not only to mop up and clean up that wind-driven thing right up there that eats a lot more acreage, but through the fire season, as the governor said. And that's it. That's our focus. So thank you.
What was it like to see your house? It had to be heartbreaking for you, right?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Speaker, right?
But
What it looked like at all, or what was left, if anything?
everything was gone except one pot. I talked to the governor about it. One Indian pot that some friends made for me in Mexico years ago. Pristine, sitting right in the middle of the fire, right in the middle of the debris. It was, and somebody said, "That's got to be you, Bowers. You got to be that pot. Hang in." And I got to say, that's got to be the governor too. So.
Governor, we are coming up on the end of the fiscal year, and I understand this is a priority right now. But has there been any progress on being able to get everyone on board with the budget? What's your timeline?
Well, our timeline ends on June 30th.
Are
course we will. Clams just walking along in a parade like Howie's seen 100 times. Oh, that's legal now. But I don't use it. We're going to work through.
You said the other day you would welcome Democratic votes on the budget.
Thank you.
Minority Leader Rios yesterday had her phone ring. Are you talking with Democratic leaders about being able to bring some of your volume on the budget?
So I don't want to be misunderstood on that. You know, I get asked a lot of questions about the budget. When I present the budget in early January, I'd love to have, 30 and 60 votes right there, 90 to nothing to vote for it. That's what I'm going to advocate for. Of course, we're going to work with leaders in both chambers to get that done. I don't want that to distract from what we're doing right now. We're going to get this done. It's June 10th. We've got till June 30th. We've got other options as well, but the focus is to help the people here. And somebody asked Rusty about what he saw and what he lost. And I wish in so many ways that, and I'm thankful to the press for being here in such large numbers today, because I do think people in our urban communities need to know what's happening in rural Arizona. This is a different part of the state, and it's a special part of the state. And they face this every fire season. And I'll tell you, these guys have been working tirelessly around the clock along with the other wildland firefighters. And I was able to see Rusty Bowers and David Cook and TJ Shope that were at the Capitol on Monday and then driving back to their properties on Monday night and then coming back to the Capitol. So somebody said you don't have to thank people for doing their job. Well, I want to thank these people for doing their job on behalf of the folks of Arizona. You are represented well.
Governor, do you want the special session to address the drought today? I think Lake Mead is at its lowest level. Will that be addressed as well?
It's going to be fire season. The drought and water is something we address every day in Arizona.
Okay, thank you.